Hello. Um, Today I want to make a presentation about the Fragile X syndrome. What is the Fragile X syndrome? Fragile X syndrome is the most common cause of the inherited mental impairment ranging from the learning disability to more severe cognitive or intellectual disability. And this disease is caused by the mutation of one of genes in the X chromosomes. It's called as FMR1 genes or Fragile X mental retardations 1 genes. And this is we have some video about the Fragile X syndrome.
Although it is not well known, Fragile X is the most common cause of inherited mental retardation. Common known cause of autism.
Sorry.
We all have the Fragile X gene. It's part of our genetic makeup. The gene is located on your X chromosome. In people who have Fragile X, the gene expands or mutates far beyond its normal range. The gene recognizes that something's wrong, and it shuts itself off, like an overloaded circuit. When this happens, the gene stops producing a protein that is critical for brain development. The result is Fragile X syndrome.
Okay, that's a little bit about Fragile X syndrome's video. Okay, biological cause of the Fragile X syndrome. As the previous videos, we can see, we can understand what is the Fragile X syndrome. It is a change in the single genes called Fragile X mental retardation 1 genes, which is found in the X chromosome. And this genes, Fragile X mental retardation 1 genes, is the function is to produce a protein which is important for development of the brain, for development of the neuron. Okay, if this genes is mutated mutated, and proteins, the proteins which is named as Fragile X mental retardation protein is not produced. So as we figure logically, the development of the brain will be um, disrupt. Okay, next. The transmissions of the Fragile X syndrome, they are X-linked dominant. The condition, but with a reduced penetrance. Male have only which male or females? They are different between male and females. The which is will be affected most is the males. Why? Because of the males only in the sex chromosomes. For the males there are X and Y, and for the females X and X. If the patient is males, so it means that the X chromosomes, even though it is dominant or recessive, it will be affected. But in the females, there are two chromosomes. If one are affected and there are another one, so in these situations, the signs and symptoms for the females is lesser than the males. Signs and symptoms. Okay, there are 5 groups. We can divide it in 5 groups: intelligence and learning, physical, social, speech and language, and sensory. Okay, in intelligence and learning, the most males of the Fragile X syndrome are considered to be a cognitive delay, ranging from the moderate to severe mental retardations. Female are not affected as severe as a male, because as I said previously, that female have 2 X chromosomes in the sex chromosome, but in males there are 1 X chromosome and another one is Y. Okay, the strengths of the cognitive strengths, they are long-term memory. They have the long-term memory, visual memory, simultaneous process tasks. And the cognitive weakness is abstract reasoning, weak problem solving. They are very weak in problem solving, weak in calculation, weak in sequential process, weak in visual motor coordination, and weak in spatial memory. Okay, the physical characteristic. There are common physical characteristic, but I think its physical characteristic is common in normal people too. But in Fragile X syndrome, the physical characteristic that you must see is long face and long face and narrow face, long and narrow face, large protruding ear, prominent chin and forehead, flat screen, flat feet, hyperextensible joint, high arch palate, hypotonia, and macroorchidism or large testes. This is the example of of the face of the Fragile X syndrome patients. Okay, long and narrow face, broad chin and forehead, protruded ear, and so on. Okay, speech and language. Okay, in typical in boys, auditory process problem, word retrieval problem, imprecise articulation may have apraxic characteristic, trouble repeating multisyllable sequence, low music tone, motor planning problem, and oral tactical defensive, fast rate of speech or known as cluttering, vocal quality loud, high pitch and harsh, receptive vocabulary is typical a strength, poor eye contact, poor topic maintenance and self-talk, some similarities to autistic-like language, except that the boys with the Fragile X syndrome usually eager to interact socially. They doesn't like to interact with socials. Typical in girls, verbal strength, including normal vocabulary, syntax, and reading and writing. As we know that girls is less signs and symptom than boys. Weakness in auditory memory for sequence, which is may affect the ability to follow the multiple direction, difficulty in conversations due to the anxiety and shyness, disorganization, speaking styles with the tangles command, problem understanding tone, facial expression and volume in the conversations, inappropriate comments and question in conversation due to the inability to monitor oneself. Okay, in social interaction, there are hyperactivity. This is very dangerous. Short attention span, impulsive, sensory processing problem, tackles defensiveness. Boys may be exhibit stereotypic behaviors such as hand flapping or chewing skin, closing or object, poor interactive skills, anxiety, social anxiety and shyness are common in girls. In sensory, bothered by certain sensations such as bright light or loud noises. Some do not like to be touched, trouble making eye contact with other people. Okay, is there cure for the Fragile X syndrome? Although research continues and knowledge about the Fragile X, its characteristics grows, there is no cure for the Fragile X syndromes at these times. For the treatment, okay, currently there are no definitive single treatment for the Fragile X syndrome. However, there are variety of ways to help to minimize the symptom. There are only way to help to minimize the symptom of this condition, such as treatment is educational option, therapeutic option, medication options, and you can find these options in the Wikipedia. I hope. Diagnostic. The diagnosis of the Fragile X syndrome. There are in many cases, more than one test may be used. The most accurate test is DNA test. But we have to remember, don't do one test only to confirm that they get the disease. You have to do two or more tests, such as chromosome test, protein test. Okay. In the conclusions, carrier of the Fragile X mutation may suffer from the feelings of lower self-esteem. Upon hearing that they are carriers, many people state that they will feel defective or imperfect. Seeking support for family, friends, and even professionals can be especially helpful in coping with this intense feeling. Often talking with another parent who can identify with what you are going through is most helpful. Thank you for watching and goodbye.